Hi everyone, welcome back to the Reclaim Ranch. My name is Tara, and today I am going to showcase Sonnet's Maker's Box from Sonnet's Garden Blooms, and it's a subscription box that has exclusive papers from Recycled Treasures, from Connie Hemmer, the Painted Photography, and it also has 2 samples of fusion paint, 2 samples of DIY paint, and a sample of Sweet Pickins milk paint. So this first wreath that I have here I got from the Goodwill bins, and the color is sweet potato this month, and so it's a beautiful orange. And I'm going to go ahead and mix it up, and then I'm going to use my emulsion blender to really get it mixed up really well and thin. And then I let it set for about 5 minutes. I still wanted it to be pretty thin to get onto this wood. I could have left the wood the way it was, but it looked too beachy to me. And so what I want to do is I want to make myself a really nice fall wreath, and I got all of these really cool florals from the Goodwill, just the regular Goodwill, and they were priced very reasonably. So I just disassembled all of the pieces, and then I'm just going to tuck them into that wood wreath here and there and use my hot glue gun to adhere them down, and then I will have a new wreath for fall. It already has the tie on there, so I really didn't have to do much, but just play around with the arrangement of the florals. So that was kind of nice. And so this Maker's Box I've been getting since day one, and I absolutely love it. Last night we were on a Zoom call with Sonnet and a bunch of the subscribers of the Maker's Box. So she does this every month where you can go on a Zoom call and you can have fun creating with us or just sitting there chatting with us. And so I made a big clock out of the rustic crow paper that we got from Connie at the Painted Photographer. And so you'll see that at the very end. And so that was fun, just to be able to talk with all the people and get to know them and see what they're creating as well. So this second piece here is just a piece of my son's old fence, and so I cut a little piece off, and this is called the Witching Hour. This is from Connie Hemmer, the Painted Photographer. So she actually draws all these images out, paints them with the DIY paint line, and then makes them into a rice paper, which I do sell her line, but these are exclusive to the Maker's Box only, so you cannot find these out in the retail world. So it's kind of another reason why I like the Maker's Box so much, is you get exclusive perks. And so I'm going to go ahead and just decoupage this onto this piece of wood. I did not paint the back white because I kind of want a more darker, moodier piece. And so if I were to paint that decoupage paper on the back, it would really make those colors pop. But I want to make sure to kind of have it blend into the backboard there. So I'm just going to go in and use my starter strip and then keep working down. And because this is such a small piece, I really didn't need my mister to get the paper wet on this, so that was kind of a bonus. And so we also got this wooden leaf out of the Maker's Box, and I'm going to go in with the color Prairie Gray from DIY Paint. This was one of the samples that we got. And I'm going to paint that leaf, and then I'm going to take a baby wipe and wipe it back. And that's going to give me a nice stained look. And then I'm going to go in, dry it real quick. And I love DIY paint because it dries super fast. And then I'm going to just write the word boo on there. And then I'm going to go in with Fire Starter, which is this really cool bright orange that matches, the leaves in the tree. And I'm going to go ahead and paint my boo on there. And then I thought, well, we could use something else on the bottom of the leaf. And so there's some bats flying in the paper there. So what I did was I just quickly drew out a little bat on the bottom and used my Fusion in coal black to paint the bat in. And then I'm going to hang that from the top, and this is a cute little shelf sitter. Now, if you are interested in getting this maker's box and haven't had the chance yet, because typically what happens is there's a waiting list, and so Sonnet opens the waiting list every so often and will add more spots for the subscriber box. But with my affiliate link that I have, you can skip that waiting list and go ahead and order it. So I will have that in my description box on this video. And so if you're interested, go ahead and use that. And yes, it does kick back a little bit of a commission to me, but the perk is you don't have to sit there on the waiting list for her to open it up again. So that's kind of fun. So this is that Fusion Coal Black, and I'm going to go ahead and go in, and I just quickly hand drew a little bat on there. I mean, it's not perfect by any means, but he's cute enough. And then what I want to do is, because the DIY paint line needs to be sealed, after my little bat dries there, I'm going to go ahead and go in with some Big Top from DIY, and I'm going to seal the entire leaf with that. So you can use any sealer though. If you don't have any of the Big Top or the Fusion products, you can use Mod Podge as well, or you can use a Rust-Oleum clear spray, and that will do the trick as well. So try to just use stuff that you have at home. And then I'm just going to hang it like I told you on the top, and hot glue it. There's a little crack in the fence, which was perfect. So I just tucked it in there and called it good. Now this next project is a tin that I got from my friend, and I had extra of that sweet potato milk paint, so I didn't want it to go to waste. So I'm going to go ahead and use that on this tin. And the thing with milk paint is it's very unpredictable. It's a love-hate relationship, so to speak, because I love that it can chip and crack and give you that old world or antique feel, but sometimes you're not looking for that. So you got to be real careful with what you're using it on. Now with a tin like this that's already been painted, I know for the fact that it's going to chip and crack, and so that's kind of what I was going for. So here it is. I'm rubbing off all those pieces that were chipped off and flaking off. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in. This is after a second coat. So now I'm going to go in with the Sweet Pickins top coat. It's a flat matte finish just for the milk paint. And that's going to really help seal that in and keep it from chipping anymore. So I'm going to give it a couple coats of that, and then let them dry in between. And then I'm going to go ahead and decoupage. Royce from Recycled Treasures gave us a couple different decoupage papers that are just beautiful. And one of them is called Autumn Botanical, and then the other is called Rustique. And so I'm going to be using Rustique. It's a really, really pretty tan brown background paper. And so what I thought I would do is I would get this stamp set from IOD called Pastiche. It's one of my favorites. I love this stamp set. And I'm going to pick out a cloche, and then it has this really cool beetle. I hate bugs, but for this time of year, they're cool. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp that cloche and that beetle onto this really pretty paper using the black IOD ink. And then I'll use my water technique to go around that decoupage paper image and then kind of just tear it out of there. So just going to go ahead, and you always want to put one hand on the stamp while the other one works around. And then I immediately just clean them off. That way I have hardly any staining on my stamps, just to keep them clean. And now I'm going to go ahead and with that big old bug. Yeah, like I said, I'm not a bug fanatic, but for this time of year, it seems to fit. And then just kind of rub it around. You don't want to rub it too hard, because then sometimes the ink sets down into the stamp and can kind of make it blurry. So just enough to get the image onto the paper. Like I said, I'm going to use my water technique to go around and pull it out of there. And then I'm going to measure and see what I need. Now this one I am going to go in with the Chateau from Fusion that we got in this maker's box, and I'm going to paint the back side of it. That way it's really going to stand out on that orange and darker color underneath. So, and after that I looked at it and I was like, well, the edges are kind of okay, but I think I wanted it to kind of look a little bit more grungy and older. So I went ahead and got some of my DIY wax and then just went over the edges. But first we got to decoupage it on, let it dry. And of course I always use my heat gun when I decoupage, and that helps get the bubbles out as well as saves me some time. But if you don't have a heat gun, you can use a blow dryer. Or, you know, you can just let it sit for a little bit, and it usually dries pretty quick. But I think this is a pretty cool looking little bucket. You can use it for storing candy, or I put some of those shreds in there and then had some like acorns, and my daughter made a little ghost, and so I sat the ghost on top of the acorns, and I think it looks really cute. But yeah, this is that DIY wax, and I'm just going to grunge up just the ends of it. And that's going to kind of tie it all in and make it look old and dirty. Which is, some people love and some people hate. But, you know, it's up to you what steps you want to do to these types of things. I'm just trying to give you some inspiration. And so this last one is this cute little tray that I got from the Goodwill bins. I love the handles, and the wood is in excellent condition, but I'm just not digging the elephant, you know? But Royce has that gorgeous paper from this month's box called Autumn Botanical, and you'll see in a little bit. It's so perfect for this tray. And I was going to add feet to it, but I thought, no, I think I'm just going to leave it so that it could be used as like a shelf sitter if somebody wants it, or they can use it as a tray. It's up to them, but if they want feet, they can add those on. So I'm just going to remove the handles, and then I'm going to go in with the Chateau that we got from Fusion. And that's another thing about this maker's box, is she gives us these sample sizes. So if there's colors that you're not sure of, that you don't think you would ever use, it's kind of fun because you'll get some colors that normally you wouldn't choose, and then you won't, you know, feel as afraid to use them as you normally would. So it's kind of fun to get outside the box of that creative block of having to have the same colors and doing something different every now and then. So that's what I love about it. And being able to use different types of paint as well. Like the DIY is a clay-based paint with all natural ingredients. Sweet Pickins milk paint. It'll last forever as long as it's in the powder form. But once you put the water with it, then you have basically less than 24 hours to use it. So, but milk paint is great for all kinds of projects. And I even did my deck. I have a YouTube video where I used the Fusion milk paint on my deck, and it's still in perfect condition. Look at this paper, you guys, though. It's so pretty. I love this. So I'm just kind of seeing what part I want to go in there, and then I'm just creasing it with my finger as I go around, and then I'm going to flip it over and cut it out, and then just decoupage that onto my tray. And I ended up cutting it too short for, I don't know how, because I creased it, but whatever. So all I did was I just cut more of the bottom off and decoupaged over it, and it looks fine. There's always a fix for everything, right? So yeah, I'm going to be using, I always use my Fusion Decoupage Transfer Gel. I like the gel. It's a lot thicker. A lot of people love DIY's liquid patina or Big Top. Some people use Mod Podge, and every medium will work. It's just whatever you prefer or want to use. So here's where I had just that extra strip. So we're just going to do the same. Start with a starter strip and then work my way across. And then I'll put that other bottom strip on to kind of match it up a little bit more. But yeah, this is a little bit bigger, so I am going to go in with my mister bottle to use, and then so I'll put my decoupage gel down, then I'll mist the paper, and then I decoupage on top of it with the gel again, and that really squishes out all those air bubbles and wrinkles. And this is exactly how Royce teaches to do her decoupage her classes, sorry. So might as well, you know, use the knowledge of the master. And it works too. Sonnet does the same thing. And after I started doing this, I used to use saran wrap and do all kinds of methods, but this seems to work the best with this tissue paper. Now I use a lot of times I use rice paper. My redesign that I sell is like kind of like a fabric. So I really don't need my Mr. Spray bottle with those because they are a thicker material, which I have hardly any rips and tears with. So it all depends on just the type of paper, decoupage paper you're using, but different techniques work for different papers. So again, I'm just going to, I always try to work from the middle out, and that way you'll get the middle bubbles to squish out to the ends so that they can be released. And then again, I always use my heat gun as well, and whatever bubble I may have missed, usually with the heat gun it does dissolve those, so I get a nice flat finish. And then you always want to decoupage on top so that you're sealing in that paper, and that way if you do use it as a tray, you know, if you have drinks or something on there, it's not going to leave any kind of markings. So here I am going to go ahead and put my little handles back on, and the screws that came with it were really, really bright silver. So looks like they had like put a copper finish on the handle there. So I'm going to go in with some Rub and Buff in Spanish copper, and I'm going to darken up the handle a little bit and then hide those screws a little bit more, and that's just going to tie it in a little bit better. And then I'm going to use that as that same Spanish copper in just some of the corners, and like see down at the bottom I kind of missed a little bit of decoupage paper underneath that butterfly there at the very base, and so I'm just going to kind of put some Rub and Buff in the corners and around the edge and just kind of blend it in a little bit so it all looks cohesive. Okay, so here's that clock, and this is called the Rustic Crow. So the middle part's the decoupage, and I just kind of blended it out a little bit. But I got this clock at the Goodwill bins, you guys, for just a couple bucks, and it didn't have any hands or anything. So I went ahead and just went to Hobby Lobby and bought some hands, put a battery in it, and it works excellent. So look at my wreath. I'm so excited for this. I'm gonna have to hang it in my living room where I have my big window, like an old window from my house, and I love to hang different wreaths during the season. So I needed a new fall one, and I absolutely love this one. So let me know what your guys' favorite is for this week, and if you're excited to be a subscriber with Sonnet's box, I would absolutely love it if you would use that affiliate link. And then you can go ahead and join us on those Zoom calls every month. And we'll give you a lot of inspiration on what you can do with your new products and stuff. So let me know. And I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And I will see you back here on Tuesday. Take care, you guys. Bye.